Hey everyone, doing a review video of a segment of Hamza's live stream. This is Hamza's Den. He had a conversation the other day with a ex-Muslim by the name of Afif Kojar. I apologise if I've got that pronunciation wrong. And this is the gentleman you can see up on the screen next to Hamza. Now, I'm reviewing this for two reasons. One, I think Afif did an excellent job dealing with Hamza's games and tricks, and he really showed him up in this conversation. And secondly, it's also to showcase why I refused to go on Hamza's stream when he gave that as a counter offer to me inviting him onto my channel because of the kind of games he plays. But despite it all, Hamza was really came off not even second best. I mean, he managed to come off third best in a conversation with two people, as far as I'm concerned. So we're going to review the first part of this conversation, and it involves talking about slavery and sex slavery in particular in the Quran and the Hadith. So let's kick this off.
Uh, how are you? What do you want to talk about?
Why you left Islam?
Probably the moral reasons are one of the biggest that I left Islam.
When did you leave Islam?
I'm sorry.
When did you leave Islam?
I would say about 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Mhm.
Okay, go on.
So the worst aspect of Islam, in my view, is the sex slavery.
Sex slavery.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Hamza, sex slavery. Now, I know these guys like to lie, but Hamza is really, really bad in this video, even by his own low standards. Now, he spends the first part of this conversation playing dumb, pretending like he doesn't even know what sex slavery is. Then he goes into denial, claiming that it doesn't even exist in Islam until Afif points out the various Quran verses and hadiths relating to this topic. And then he tries to do a little dance around definition of words. It's really pathetic. But the ex-Muslim gentleman does a really good job in showing him up. So let's continue.
Taking
So,
married women.
so you left Islam because you didn't want a sex slave?
No. I left Islam for 100 reasons, but I just want to raise some of the most important ones.
So
Starting with the
why? Okay, sorry, Minister. Why does sex slavery? And you left Islam for what? Christianity or atheism?
I mean, really, what does that matter in any case? He's talking about the morality within the Quran and the hadiths within Islam in general. So it really doesn't matter whether he's what his beliefs are now.
Atheism, sir.
So you believe because sex slavery exists, you believe or existed?
Well, no, it exists, and we've had great modern examples of it with ISIS. I mean, just go and ask all those poor Yazidi women who were being captured, openly sold on the slave markets in Iraq and Syria, including children. It does exist. It's part of the ideology of Islam. It's part of the history, and it's part of the present day of Islam.
You believe that means God doesn't exist?
No, but
Yeah, he's not saying that. See, again, I mean, Hamza just throws in straw man after straw man in this little conversation. He's saying that it's the reason why he left Islam. That doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't believe in any kind of God. Now, the gentleman is describes himself as a secular humanist, and he is an atheist. But that's not what He's talking about the morality or the immorality of the Quran allowing sexual slavery.
what I do believe is that because sex slavery exists, it just means that this religion was created by men to satisfy their sexual desires.
Why does it mean that?
Well, that's kind of obvious, isn't it? Really, I mean, it's not the only reason. Obviously, there's probably a bunch of reasons, and I don't think Apipis would probably say it is just one reason. But yes, I think he's certainly right that it is a major draw. It's a major way to get converts if you can offer this very base level of satisfying sexual desire of the men that you hope to convert to the religion. So I think it's completely reasonable what you said.
What's sex? Talk to me about sex slavery. What's sex slavery?
Oh, okay.
What sex slavery? Again, it's just so irritating. He's going to play dumb like this. He knows exactly what it is. He's just trying to chew up the clock here.
Sex slavery just means that Prophet Muhammad and his companions would go and conquer other villages, and they would take their property and take the women and girls and make them into sex slaves and distribute them to
Whoa,
the.
stop. Where'd you get this idea of sex slavery from?
If you can pull up a hadith, that'd be great. Sahih Muslim hadith number 1456.
I'm not pulling up any hadith, mate.
Yeah, he never wants to pull up a hadith because the point is, Hadith is quoting the actual Islamic sources, and Hamza is going to be embarrassed to have that up on there. So he's going to try and play this stupid little game where he's going to argue about words and about the phrasing of things and about translations, rather than just say, look, here's the hadith, here's the Quranic verses that confirm what the guy is saying, and he's got no response. So he's going to do this silly little dance.
You talk to me.
Okay, sir. Sahih Muslim.
Where does sex slave? Show me where you find the word sex slave.
Yeah.
Now, this is really irritating, and if does a good job of breaking this down, but just to say, Hamza knows that the term "what your right hand possesses" directly is referring to a slave in Islam. Now, he knows that that is a term used. So whether it says sex slavery, it's not a term that they use, but you have the equivalent. He knows that, so he's playing a game here. And secondly, he knows that it's permissible for a Muslim man who owns a female slave to have sex, and as a piece of property, she cannot deny him that. That's sex slavery. He knows it, and he's playing another game.
Sahih Muslim hadith number 1456d. And Surah Nisa verse 24.
No. Tell me about sex slave. I want to hear this term sex slave. Where's this?
It's والذين هم لفروجهم حافظون إلا على أزواجهم أو ما ملكت أيمانهم فإنهم غير ملومين أو ما ملكت أيمانهم means the women that you own.
Where does it say sex slave?
He's just read you the Islamic source, and because you can't deal with that, you're just going to keep repeating the same stupid question. Where does it literally say sex slave? Childish.
It's in Arabic, right? That's why we have to translate it into English.
So in the English, where does it say sex slave?
Those women that your right hands possess or that you acquired as a result of war.
And who are these women? Where does it say sex slave? Why are you obsessed with sex? I'm trying to understand. It doesn't say sex slaves.
I mean, what is stupid? Why are you obsessed with sex? The topic is sexual slavery. How is he supposed to talk about it without mentioning sex?
Yeah, the reason I'm obsessed with it is because it justifies rape as a result of war.
Where does it? Tell me anywhere in Islam you can force a woman to have sex with you.
That's what I'm saying. Surah Nisa verse 24 says that all وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ النِّسَاءِ إِلَّا مَا مَلَكَتْ أَيْمَانُكُمْ, which just means that all married women are forbidden to you except those whom your right hands possess.
But where does it say you can force women to have sex with you?
I mean, you kind of have to imply that, because if you're taking...
No, you imply that with your sick mind. I get that. Where?
No, it's not a sick mind. It's an obvious definitional part of owning a slave that you can have sex with. By definition, that makes them a sex slave, because when somebody's your property, there is no sense of consenting. The slave cannot refuse if the man wants to have sex. So definitionally, that person is a sex slave.
Does Islam teach this thing? You can force women to have sex.
He's read you the verses, my friend.
Yes, sir. What I'm trying to say is, if there's a married woman and you capture her and have sex with her while she's married to another man.
Where does it say you can force her to have sex? The key, you said rape. Rape is physical violence and force against a woman to have sex against her will.
Well, it doesn't have to be that. The point of rape is that it's non-consensual. You don't necessarily have to use violence. It could just be the threat of violence, or some other kind of threat that makes them acquiesce. But the point is the lack of consent. And when you're a slave, there is no issue of consent. You're a piece of property. You have to do what the slave master says.
Where are you getting this from?
Why would a married woman want to have sex?
I'm interested in your whys and whats and wherefores.
Well, he's not giving you whys and whats and wherefores. He's giving you the Islamic sources, and you're playing dumb.
Asking you, where does it say you can force a woman against her will and have sex with her?
The bit where it says she's a slave and you can have sex with her.
It doesn't say that explicitly.
It doesn't say that. So it's just your mind coming up with that.
No, it's the obvious definitional part of what that is, a sex slave. It's not his dirty mind.
Yes, sir.
So please, so don't act like this is a teaching of Islam and you've
It is a teaching of Islam.
left Islam because of this teaching.
It's
He left because of the immorality. Well, as he said, one of many reasons that he left, and you're just dodging around it.
just one of many.
No, it's the first one that's nonsense. It's your own sick mind. It's got nothing to do.
No, it's the sick ideology of Islam.
You're interpreting the text the way you want to interpret it.
No, he's reading what it says. There's no interpretation there.
Nowhere in the text does it say you can force women. If you want to talk about those who you right and possesses, you have to treat them kindly and fairly. How does that attribute to sex slave? You have
Because the idea that you treat a slave kindly is just a ridiculous one. I mean, Islamic apologists love to do this thing where they pretend, oh yeah, slavery was so different in Islam, it was so kindly. Well, most societies had certain kind of rules over how you could treat your slaves, even as a piece of property. It wasn't just open brutality outside of Islam. There are all sorts of rules, whether you're talking about slavery in Rome or ancient Greece, or slavery in the United States of America, wherever you want to look at it. There were, generally speaking, codes of conduct and rules around slaves. Obviously, they varied, but the point is saying, "Oh, well, you can treat them kindly." Well, yeah, you can treat the car you own kindly. You can polish it up. That doesn't mean that it's not your property. And if the rules say you can have sex with your slaves, you can have sex with them.
You have to feed them what you eat. You have to clothe them what you clothe. You have to live where you live. Where does this imply some woman tied up under the stairs used for sex?
See, again, throwing in nonsense like that, tied up under the stairs. He's not saying that. It's just distracting with this nonsense.
All it means is a permissibility. It's halal. So, for example,
yeah, and there's no way that the sex slave can refuse. That's the point. She cannot refuse if he wants to have sex with her.
For example, if a blonde in the streets approaches me and wants to have sex with me, it's haram for me, even if she wants to.
Yeah, well, I don't really see that likely to happen, mate. No offense.
Okay, so Allah has made it this situation now where these women who are captives of war, based upon what? Yeah, based upon the defeat of the armies and such, and the women are left over, the men may have been killed, and the solution for them is to take them into your homes. Now, the question is,
as slaves, as sex slaves, there's not much of a solution, is it?
These women are there, these women have needs. Are they halal?
They have needs now. I mean, how sick is that to say that? They have needs. So you're providing a service now by raping them? I mean, see, this is what Islam does to the brain. I mean, it's terrible.
For you? Are you halal for them? And this is a permission made down for this particular situation. But let me ask you, what's your solution for these women?
How about make them take care of them like you would take care of your mother, your sister, or your daughter?
Brilliant response there. Absolutely brilliant response. Yes. Treat them as real human beings. Treat them with dignity. Treat them with humanity, like they've got some basic rights. Don't turn them into your property. Brilliant response. Let's see how Hamza responds to this.
Well, all these women.
I mean, that's lovely, isn't it? All these women, there's too many. There's too many to treat them like real human beings. No, we've got to enslave them. I mean, the look on his face. Unbelievable.
Yeah, but I'm talking about married women whose husbands are alive.
What are you on about?
Surah Nisa, verse 24. It's all married women are forbidden to you except those whom your right hands possess. And Sahih Muslim 1456D, which just says that during the Battle of Autas, we captured excellent Arab women, and we desired them, and our distance from our wives became hard on us. So
yes, so the concubines. We have no issue with concubines.
Yeah, a concubine is a sex slave, and I'm really glad that the ex-Muslim here has brought up this hadith, because it's absolutely devastating. I mean, this is Muhammad commanding that his soldiers can have sex with the women of the men that they've defeated in battle while the husbands are still alive. Okay, so this isn't, Hamza will pretend this is some act of charity after you've already murdered their husbands and you've taken them into slavery. Oh, well, this is an act of charity. What else can do? Well, in this case, in this particular hadith, the husbands are still alive, and Holy Prophet Muhammad gives them permission to still rape the women. So where's your morality on that one, Hamza?
Yes, sir. I'm referring to concubines as sex slaves.
But concubines are not sex slaves.
They literally are. Now, this is an important point to make. It's certainly true that in the historical context of some societies, concubines were not necessarily, they didn't necessarily have the status of a slave, okay? Most did throughout history, but there are occasions when they didn't. But in the Islamic context, by definition, a concubine has to be a slave, because a Muslim man cannot, by classical Islamic law, a man can only have sex with his wives or with his slaves. Those are the only two options. So if you're a free woman as a concubine, it would be a contradiction, because then he wouldn't be able to have sex with you if you were not his slave. So by definition, every concubine in Islam has to be a slave. Now, Hamza knows this, and he's directly lying by saying that they're not the same thing. In the Islamic context, they have to be, otherwise you wouldn't be able to have sex with them.
What are they then?
The way your mind is working is not what you're thinking. Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? I mean, see, this is a good thing, because the ex-Muslim guy, he's done a really good job, and he's flummoxed him. So now he's just all over the place.
Can I ask you a question, honestly, Hafif? Do you watch porn?
See, look, what a ridiculous thing to ask him now. Now he's going to dodge away because he can't handle it. He's going to start asking all these stupid questions.
No, sir, I do not.
I think you do. Why have you got
Who cares what you think, whether you think he watches porn or not? What, absolutely childish.
sex on the mind, sex on the brain?
He's talking about sex slavery. It's inevitable that you have to bring it up during a conversation about the topic.
Because I love and respect women.
Yeah, excellent response. Again, I'm loving this. Brilliant.
I'm sorry?
I love and respect women. That's why.
Well, why have you got so why are you thinking in a filthy manner then? Every time a woman's involved, it's got to be something filthy and sexy.
It's not. He's just quoting the Islamic literature. You might want to look at the Quran and Hadiths if you want to say it's filthy and disgusting and all the rest of it. That's not his fault. He's just quoting the sources.
Because she's married to another
That's
man.
something degrading. Why can't you think of the purity of it? That this woman,
The purity of sex slavery. Wonderful.
she's in your situation. She has needs. Yeah. Why can't you think in a positive? Why are you thinking in a kind of degrading manner all the time?
Yeah. Well, why think the sex slavery is degrading when it's pure and wonderful? Sick bastard.
Because
See, there's a problem with your brain and the way it's functioning. Okay. Now,
Yeah, it's thinking logically about Islam.
as an atheist, why is that wrong? Even if it was a sex slave, even if you force them to have sex with you, why is it wrong?
Because morality doesn't come from religion. It comes
Where do you get morality from?
You get morality from it's derived from evolution, because we have
Morality is derived from evolution.
Yes, sir. It's a byproduct of evolution. Evolution doesn't care about morality, but since we have brains, we're able to.
Do you know what morality is?
Yeah, I mean that's another very good response from the ex-Muslim gent there. So yeah, I think he and the rest of the conversation, Hamza is basically dodging away from the topic, and he starts to trying to go into stuff about morality and objective morality and stuff like that. Now, Afif handles himself very well in that part of the conversation, but I don't want this video to go on too long. But I would suggest go over to his YouTube channel. It's just under same as his name is written on the screen there. And he's got the entire conversation up there if you want to watch it. And look at how raged out he's getting. Just the fact that an ex-Muslim is reading the Muslim texts and exposing the horrible things that it says. Hamza's getting angry at him because and just directly lying. Anyways, yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next video.